So tell us where you are at the moment.
I'm actually in my kitchen at the moment.
That cooker, definitely, you can notice it, and I think that's resonant of most Asian families, isn't it? Because it's a big size cooker. So you must be doing a lot of cooking.
I don't actually do a lot of cooking. I love having, which has been the exception this year, of course, with the lockdown. So every Eid, I'd have my families and friends over, whenever any excuse really, and I'd have families and friends over. And it's for me, and I think for a lot of other women generally. I used to think it was an Asian woman thing. I don't think it's an Asian woman thing. I think it's us as a human, us as women. We want to show our love through food. We want to cook. So I am actually cooking. My son, who works in Oxford, he's coming home tonight. So when the issue of cooking something came up at lunchtime, I was like, oh good, I can do two things now. I'll cook for my son. And I get to show you some of my, not necessarily my cookery skills, but just generally have this conversation in the kitchen whilst I'm doing it. So I'm thinking about cooking something really basic, because at lunchtime I find it quite hard. You can't eat a full meal. So generally I would cook something like.
So I was going to ask, I think for me, certainly, food speaks all languages. Food also sort of, tells us a little bit about the person, their likes, their dislikes, their heritage, perhaps as well. Food for yourself, obviously, I presume you've grown up most of your years you've spent in Bradford. But you're of Bangladeshi heritage.
Yes, so I was born in Bangladesh. My mother joined my father like a lot of other mothers did in the early 80s. So in terms of migration, we were one of the later families that came. And I've been here since. So I grew up in and around Bradford, well, in Keighley to be exact. I now live in Shipley. I do enjoy cooking, and I do enjoy a mixture of cooking. So I don't necessarily. Sometimes I will cook a traditional Bangladeshi dish, and often on a Sunday I will do roast dinner. But in between, it's very, very eclectic and very much things that I might have watched on television, things that are easy or something that I quite fancied doing. So, last year and the year before, jackfruit became quite hip, the green jackfruit, because of the pulled pork effect that people were in. So they were on everywhere. So I went and got myself some green jackfruit. My mum thought it was hilarious because in Bangladesh, nobody eats green jackfruit. So I was like, look, you can buy tins of this stuff and I'm going to cook it into a curry. I had to look up a recipe for it. And I found a really nice, decent Sri Lankan recipe, which really, really worked. I'm not doing it today, but that was just an example of, you sort of think, actually, it's, most all vegetables halal. So if there's a vegetarian recipe or if there's a vegetable recipe, I will do it. I do eat meat, and a lot of people think that because I'm green I shouldn't be eating meat. I do eat meat, but I generally tend to eat meat on special occasions, and I would eat a nice chunk of meat and a really good quality and enjoy it. So it's not that I would eat meat curry every day. If I eat a meat curry, it'll be a full-on ceremony and it'll be really nice, and I would really enjoy the cooking and eating it as well. But generally I tend to eat a lot of vegetables and quite a lot of fish. That's again is a Bangladeshi thing. We generally tend to eat quite a lot of rice and fish.
Yes, oh, definitely. And that's one of my favorites when I go to my Bangladeshi friend's house, because they make fish in the most amazing ways and the most amazing varieties as well. There's so many, isn't there?
Yeah.
So it's always an amazing thing to explore. So tell us what you're going to make for us today. What are you going to show our...
to cook sweet potato and spinach curry. I know that's a bit boring, but I quite like it because it's so healthy.
Yeah, because the government are now trying to encourage more of us to eat healthy. So that's a really good combination. Spinach, lots of iron, sweet potato, a healthier version of the root vegetables. So both very healthy options. So that's a good start. So I'm sure we'll be happy with you as as pushing the health agenda forward.
I must say, my background, my professional training is in public health. And I specialised in obesity and physical activity, healthy eating type of area.
You look so good.
So actually, I generally tend to. By the way, I eat quite a lot, and I have acquired. I do have the typical Asian sweet tooth. So if there's anything sweet and sugary, I can't stop myself. So I have to balance it out with generally healthier main meals, so I can eat my dessert. That's my excuse.
That's the secret to you looking so good. We'll hopefully our readers will follow that one. So shall we start cooking and then talk more about what you want to see change in Yorkshire and what you plan to do if you won the role of West Yorkshire Mayor?
Like you can hear me with all that noise of the tarka.
I can definitely hear the sizzling of the tarka, and I just
but
wish
my tweet this morning with the turmeric.
Yeah, what happened with the turmeric issue? I saw your tweet.
But it's
Turmeric is a must-have spice in every Asian house, and to run out of it, my mum would be devastated. That was me.
Yeah. But generally, years back, I got a spice mix, sort of an idea of what to put in, how much of what is fine, from an elderly guy who used to have a spice shop in Manningham. Yeah. And I've been using that. So I only have as an extra, for when you just need turmeric or you need spice. So when I was thinking about getting, chat this morning, I thought, I'll just prepare everything. Because I work, so I knew I had a work meeting to log on to. Yeah. So early in the morning, I'll just prepare. So straight after the meeting, I'll come down and start cooking. Oh, did I have a panic attack or what? I think my mother, your mother, and every other mother probably thought, what is the world? Is that world coming to an end? Nobody should run out of turmeric.
Absolutely, I agree. My mum would definitely be thinking the world has come to an end.
Yeah, I'm sort of less inclined to believe that. I have been using quite a lot of it recently for my legs because of the inflammation. Yeah. So, I hurt my ankle, so my ankle. So I've been using an extra spoonful of turmeric in everything to try and bring the inflammation down. So that's oops, I've just giving away the fact why I've run out of turmeric.
Yes, I think so. Turmeric is the new paracetamol, isn't it?
Well, they do say, our mother used to say that turmeric was the old paracetamol, wasn't it? Because it's what people used to use.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the new medicine came into the scene, and people just use medicine for everything now. When actually a lot of the, if you look at the data, people who have healthier diets, people who eat healthier, have far less disease to worry about. So if you think of diabetes, heart disease, and cancer, they're major diseases that have a massive impact on our population, and worldwide, and all of them can be delayed or prevented or helped by having a healthy meal or having healthy food and not eating so much processed food.
Yes,
And that's the thing I think people have. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, obviously, standing for Yorkshire Mayor, it's early stages at the moment, though, but what would be your key priorities for the region?
I think being involved in the political arena of Bradford for such a long time and Leeds is slightly not that much more different as a bigger authority.
Yes.
And I think one of the at this moment in time is economic regeneration. It's the economy. It's people have jobs. So many people have been impacted negatively due to COVID, due to businesses shutting down, due to shops closing, and so many people have lost jobs. So I think that's going to be our biggest challenge. Is the economic regeneration. Sorry, I'm just going to stir this topic from burning.
No problem. That's very, very important.
I think in terms of, I was mentioning about the economic, regeneration, which is going to be so important going forward with the year that we've had this year, and I think that's going to be the biggest challenge. But it's not. It's coming up with something innovative. It's coming up with new ideas because you can't keep selling clothes, as we know. Those with the shutdown of in major businesses across the world, not only in Bradford or in our region, but right across the world. We have to come up with innovative and new areas of development. We can't carry on, using the resources just to waste it again. So much of, things that people buy that they use once or twice and then it's binned again. And actually, if we can make better quality, if we can have it made in and around our region, in Yorkshire, then that's going to create so much job. But actually, looking at innovation, looking at the green infrastructure, looking at building houses, looking at retrofits of our current housing stock to make them more energy efficient, will do two things. Will, on the one hand, create jobs, on the other hand, actually keep people warmer, and ultimately be much more environmentally friendly. So it's not just politics, it'll make it. And I think we as Greens have all this innovation and ideas and ways forward. We can't keep doing what we've always done. If anything COVID has shown us is that the same old is going to cut it going forward. I'm going to put some water on this before it burns.
No problem. I'll let you do that. While you do that, I'll ask you another question. Obviously, you said that green is all about new ideas. It's all about the environment. And these are really, really important issues that the vast majority of us are concerned about. So why is it that people don't take the Green Party as seriously as the others?
If last year one of my colleagues missed out, and it got to a point where they had 3 different accounts, and it was equal numbers, and they put both the names in the hat and pulled out one name, and he missed out. So he effectively missed out by 1 vote. And so that's what happens with first past. So we have our voting system, and that's what we have to work with. But what people generally tend to do is, when they're thinking about voting, they don't really think about the things that impact them. They just shrug and think, yeah, we've always voted Labour, or we've always voted Conservative, or and it's not necessarily for their benefit. They just do it because, so that's, you get one group of people who will do it because they've always done it, and then you get another group of people who will do it because they know that person. So we know him, or we know their second cousin, and we're going to vote. So you get that as well. And sometimes also people vote. So some people will say, oh, I'm going to vote Conservative because if I don't vote, then Labour will get in. So they almost use a negative deduction to try and vote, or when they're voting, or I'm going to vote Labour because otherwise the Conservatives going to get in. I want to vote for Green, but on this occasion, I'm because if I vote for Green, somebody else will get in. So you can imagine we're sort of stuck between lots of hard rocks. But where we have, where we have got MP or we've got councillors, people really appreciate it. I know when, I've been a councillor for 14 years, you sort of get to know your area a little bit. Yeah. And, you just understand, you see where people are coming from. And it's actually not just having that understanding of the different politics, it's also thinking what will benefit me, or what should I do to benefit our community, or, it's not. I think so much time I say to people, one, definitely go out and vote, regardless of who you're voting for, because here's your opportunity to have a say. And two, look at what you want out of voting. So what is it that you want different or same or similar, and go and vote with that. Don't do what you want. Don't do it because somebody else said it, you should.
Yeah. You mentioned the roadblocks, like tactical voting, and obviously in terms of popularity with certain groups. How will you overcome those challenges for your campaign?
I think I suppose what we Greens don't have, that's me choking on my own cooking now.
Don't worry, you won't tell anyone. Only the people.
Yes, conservative. And I don't want to. It's not. The way I see it, it is they sort of get a lot of their funding from the businesses, the corporations, and the large organisations. Labour gets a lot of their funding from the unions and that. So we're Greens, and we're sort of stuck in the middle because we don't get those large money. And also the other thing what we have, or I see as a challenge, is where nice people campaign on positive and being positive that we think needs to change, or how we can change it, or how we can do that. And I'm hoping that people will see that coming through from the Greens and think actually that, that's a good thing to have. If you look at the political system at the moment, and if you look at the politicians at the moment, I know I'm desperately crying out for some decent people, for people who are accountable, people who will make the right choices, rather than choices that benefit and their mates. And I really want to campaign on that, is to say, look, it's not because I'm going to benefit, or it's not because my friends are going to benefit, or my family's going to benefit from it. It's because it's the right thing to do, and we should do it because it will benefit the whole of the region.
So how's the cooking getting along? So I saw the can of spinach going in.
I did. This is an easy one. I generally like frozen spinach. By the way, fresh spinach is great if you can get hold of it. But don't you ever find you buy a big bag or harvest a whole bunch from your garden or your auntie to use it, and then he cooks it down to nothing?
Oh God, yes.
So I find it
yes,
it's
definitely.
easy to use frozen spinach or canned spinach, and today it was going to be canned spinach because I wanted it to cook quite quickly because of balloon. And canned spinach generally cooks faster than I suppose it's already cooked, isn't it? So we just add it to the last minute. Add the rest of it in. I'm waiting for the sweet potato to cook quite a bit of it before I put the spinach in, because it's not so easier.
So what kind of foods do you normally like to eat?
I do enjoy my curries. So I will generally cook a lot. And of course, being in lockdown, you get to cook a lot more. But lunchtime cooking is luxury. I don't cook at lunchtime, by the way. This is a special thing. Often I will eat the leftovers the night before on the lunchtime. Because I don't really like sandwiches. I don't really like. I'm not very good with sandwiches, so I will just eat leftover from the night before. So I just eat, and especially being at home now, I just eat whatever's left over the night before. I'll just eat that. So, but I always cook and I always eat. That's my problem.
It's the South Asian in us. I think it's a common trait we all have.
And if I pop that on, and that's what the wheat looks like.
Yes. Oh wow.
So it looks a bit like rice. It doesn't taste like rice. So I think I was married at 17. My son came probably after my 18th birthday. And you sort of, teach yourself to cook. But I think it's understanding different foods. So because I enjoy eating it, it's easy for me to want to learn to do different things with it. And when you're out working, then you have to, because rapid is great if, for halal eaters, but if you're somewhere else in London or Leeds or Manchester, then the choice might not be as great. So you just learn to just be a bit more proactive about what you're going to eat and how you're going to eat it.
So if there was one message that you could give to people right now, what would that message be? What would you say to people of Yorkshire? What's so, I think, obviously because we're living in times of COVID as well, what would be the most important message to bring people together during this challenging time, but also being able to look to the future? People are still worried about what normality is going to look like. But if you were able to give a message of that kind of hope and obviously of the future, once we do eventually start selecting our Mayor of West Yorkshire, what would you like to say on that?
My key message for everybody out there as we live through this pandemic and this strange times is, it does feel very strange and very different world from what we are used to. Sometimes it can feel unreal, like nothing is right, when you forget what day of the week it is, or daytime television is driving you crazy. Take heart, remind yourself that this weird time will pass and hopefully we will be in a better place after this. Look at the positives. We have learned to take time out. We have learned to appreciate nature, to show love and care to our friends and families, and to enjoy the small things in life, like cooking lunch today. We as humans are the most adaptable creature on this planet. We will be okay.